Hello everyone, this is Aveswaza, your host, and today we are having a webinar on politeness and pragmatics. So before we start with the webinar, I will be telling you the process of the webinar and how you will get the certificate. So first of all, we will be having the presentation by Ma'am Kishwer, and after the presentation, we will have a Q&A session. Q&A session is divided into two. In first part we will have the questions from the registration forms, and in the second part we will take some live questions. The live questions which we will be taking will be commented by you in the live chat, and after the Q&A session I will be telling you more about how to get your certificate. But in order to get your certificate you will have to watch till the end. Moreover, if you are watching the webinar through your through the Gmail, for example, when you get the email uh, of the webinar's joining link on Gmail and you click on it, you a small screen will pop out. So you don't have to watch the webinar over there. Make sure that you are using Google Chrome and are watching the webinar through youtube.com. All right, and make sure that you are signed into your Google account as well. Same goes for the people who are watching on their mobile phone. Make sure you open the webinar in your YouTube app. Otherwise, you might not see the live chat. All right, so now without further ado, we will welcome Miss Kishwa to start their presentation.
Okay,
Hello, ma'am.
thank you. Yes. Hello, how are you, Aves?
Yes, I'm doing good. What about you?
I'm also good. Thank you for having me today.
Okay, you are most welcome. So
Okay.
now, ma'am, you may start with giving your introduction.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, everybody. I'm Kishwer Nazli, and a very good afternoon in Pakistan. It's 3 p.m. in Pakistan. I'm Kishwer Nazli, and I'm currently working as a senior lecturer at IOBM University. And before that, I have also worked in various universities in Pakistan. And I have completed my MS in Applied Linguistics from NED University. And nowadays, I'm waiting for my PhD admission. And my interest developed in pragmatics when I was doing a research in e-politeness. As teachers, we face so many comments, compliments towards our from our students towards their results, their performances, their evaluations. Sometimes they show satisfaction, and sometimes they do not show their satisfaction. So when I was doing research on their compliment, their written courses, then I realized that we have to focus on politeness. So that's why I chose today my topic as politeness in pragmatics. So, Awais, should I begin? Okay. So, this is my topic, politeness in pragmatics. These are the objectives of my presentation for today, like background, what is pragmatics, shifts in pragmatics, and my focus would be on cyber pragmatics because now the mode of communication has already been transformed dynamically. Nowadays, we most of the time communicate through internet mediated communication. And then we would focus on politeness in pragmatics. What is politeness in pragmatics? And what is politeness in cyber, like in internet mediated communication? And what is politeness of social media? And then I will discuss about the future consequences and future research of politeness. Okay. So I would not definitely begin with the introduction of applied linguistics, because I assume that we all are familiar a lot about applied linguistics, the significance of applied linguistics, the diversity which has been already taken place in applied linguistics. Despite rather, I would begin with the interest of applied linguistics in discourse analysis. Like, how did they develop their interest in discourse analysis? So if we further classify, or we further think rigorously, we will find that applied linguistics interest in discourse analysis basically originated in an awareness of the inability of formal linguistics to account for how participants achieve meaning in communication. So if we see the definition given by linguist Guy Cook, he said that the discourse analysis basically is uses and development of theories and methods which elucidate how this meaning and coherence is achieved. So discourse analysis is a stretch of language. Like, there is a extension of language use, like not only linguistic structure, not only structure and grammar, but also non-linguistics perspective, like making it the most powerful and rigorous tool for the analysis of language, in especially in communication. For example, if we have to analyze meanings, so we can understand the meaning of an utterance through structure, like what is subject, what is verb, and what is the literal meaning of that utterance. But for the analysis of interpretation, deep interpretation, we have to understand, we have to go through some background, some non-linguistics perspective. So this interest developed. So consequently, the result of this interest was that applied linguistics espoused and developed a wide range of approaches to languages, which were beyond linguistics, such as you can see schema theory, conversational analysis, ethnography, multimodal analysis, literary theory, rhetoric, genre analysis, and of course, pragmatics, which will be our presentation topic today, and social theory. And equally, the applied linguistics were also inspired or were also influenced by critical discourse analysis also. Like when discourse analysis analyzes about the other aspects of non-linguistics perspective, where critical discourse analysis is concerned with ideology, power relations, and social injustice, like how we communicate when we have some power relations with us, when we cannot communicate with all the people of their status in the same way. Like we can the way we can talk with our teachers, we cannot talk with our students or with our friends or with our home, like with our homey persons. So critical discourse analysis is basically concerned with the ideology and power relation and what is happening, social injustice, where gender comes into play, where status come into play, where social ranks comes into play. So this is all about critical discourse analysis. And social theory basically revolutionized the analysis of analysis of communication, because social theories, I would say that social theory gave birth to the expressing like institutionalized values and ideology, and it delimited and defined like how can words be interpreted in specific domains, like for example medical communication, law communication, legal discourse, medical discourse, gender discourse. So social theory revolutionized the perception of applied linguist. So today our focus is pragmatics. So we would go further on pragmatics. So there are so many definitions given by pragmatics. One thing very interestingly I found in the book of Francisco Hughes, he said that though Yule, Morris, Searle devoted so many books, so many pages in writing the definition of pragmatics, but defining pragmatics is still very difficult because such type of terminologies are elusive when there are so many opennesses there. So with its practicality, flexibility, and openness, like openness in a sense that is still with the passage of time, with the changes in our lives, many aspects can be still added in pragmatics. So with all these attributes, it is rightly considered as one of the most influential and vibrant fields in linguistics, which acquires a central position in many other domains which are not related to linguistics, such as artificial intelligence, informatics, neuroscience, and language anthropology and sociology. So it got pragmatics, like since its birth, it got maturity basically in 1960s and 1970s after the work of Saussure, structuralism, and Chomsky, generative grammar. So on its maturity, it meets with a partner. That is the real revolution, that that partner widened its scope further. So that partner was internet mediated communication, so which has transformed, revolutionized the ways of thinking, ideology, cognition, whatnot. So we can say that although its history and its roots can be traced back into early classical tradition of rhetorical and stylistics, but it further modified into Kant's conception of empirical and purposive pragmatics, and practically nurtured, and its practicality, which was nurtured by William Jones. So now it is very strong and very durable tree of applied linguistics, we can say that. So there are so many definitions, but for today's presentation, I would make the framework of the definition which was given by Cutting in 2008. It's relatively a new definition, that pragmatics is concerned with the study of relationship between language and the context. Context is the key, is the backbone of pragmatics. Now, what is context? Context basically the whole attributes, the whole features in which an utterance takes place. And without understanding context, it is nearly impossible to understand the utterance of any speaker. The producers of utterance or the hearer, both would face difficulties. So there are three types of context: situational context, background knowledge, and contextual. Situational context is like what speakers know about what they can see around them. Like it's a situation. For example, if I am going with my friend and I say it's terrible, so it means that I and my friend both take place in the same situation, and the hearer knows about the speakers, that what the thing I am pointing and what is the thing which I am talking about. Similarly, background knowledge. Background knowledge is what they know about the interpersonal knowledge, what they know about each other, like what is their culture, what is their religion, what is their mood. So that is the background knowledge. And contextual knowledge is what, for example, if in a class, if somebody comes late and two people are discussing about the previous lecture, so those two people, speaker and hearer, know each other, but the third one is not able to understand because he was not there contextually. So for example, if I ask anybody to just write in a chat box that what was the last utterance which they spoke before their presentation. If I can see their messages. Just give me a minute so that I can switch on the fan. Just a minute. Any participant who can just participate and just tell me what is the last utterance he spoke before this presentation? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible. So participants, please comment in live chat that what was the last utterance
Yes,
you
what was the last
said
utterance you
before
spoke
joining the webinar.
before this presentation? Or okay, before any time at 10 o'clock, since you wake up, any utterance. Okay, let me share why. Before this webinar, I told my brother, have you checked that? Have you checked that? So if we see linguistically, it is very clear to understand that this is a question. Have, the word have is a helping verb, and this is a question, and checked is the main verb. But how many of you are able to understand the utterance, that what was the thing I am asking for? What is the main purpose of my asking question? I believe that nobody would understand that thing because there is no context given, neither situational nor background. Yes, thank you. Thank you. My utterance. I used to miss the previous ones due to official time miscalculations. That is a very good example, and I'm thankful to the participant. So he said that I used to miss the previous ones due to official time miscalculation. Linguistically, grammatically, this sentence is perfect, correct, and able to understand the component of the sentence. But because we do not know about that, what did he miss, or what is he what he used to miss, so it is very difficult for us to understand because we all were not there, neither situational nor we have background knowledge, and neither we were at contextual. Very good. Thank you, Daniel. My last utterance, I told my mother I would show the visitors the way to the place. So this is again like only mother and Mr. Daniel are able to interpret because there is some background knowledge involved in. Mother must know that who would be the visitor and what is the work of Daniel, what is the purpose of Daniel. So in order to understand or analyze an utterance clearly, it is very important to listen to the contextual study. Okay, so thank you so much. So we will now be looking for the revolution which happened in pragmatics. As I told you that pragmatics took birth in 1960s and 70s, and then it went on constant and rapid revolution, modification. So now we could see that there are some significant shifts which took place in pragmatics and which shaped the communication perspective. So first, they were mostly focused on classical tradition of rhetorics and stylistic. Basically, rhetoric, if you don't aware of, like rhetoric refers to the study and the uses of written, spoken uses of the study. Like in classical tradition, we used to do that that is the rhetoric, and stylistic is the style of linguistics, which is mainly concerned with the structure and conception of empirical and purposive pragmatics, that what is the implication, what is the purpose of communication. Second shift took place when it is said that pragmatics is the reaction of Saussure structuralism and Chomsky generative grammar. So they were mainly interested in sentence and meaning of that sentence, words and meaning of that words. But you now know that only meaning of words and sentences do not involve in analysis of pragmatics. So they shift in utterances, meaning Austin, Searle, and Rice, like they were focused now on the interpretation of utterance. Similarly, the third, I would not say that this is a shift, basically. These are two broader school of thought. Like component view of pragmatics are concerned by Anglo-American framework of pragmatics, and this concept was supported by Leach, Yule, Levinson, Cummings, and they focus on basically components like implicature, presupposition, deixis. And then the shift took place, or the second school of thought is European, continental European, and where pragmatics is taken to present a functional perspective on all core components and hyphenated areas of linguistics and beyond. So here it is said that pragmatics is a functional approach to interpreting of communication. So this is known as perspective view of pragmatics. And here cognitive, social sciences, social linguistics, relationship to the usage of the other persons and speakers are involved. Like what are the usage? What is the practicality? What is the purpose? And the last is concept of the unilateral to interactionally expanded concept of the bi or multilateral interact. So the ensuing developments have seen realignment of context from a static and autonomous to a dynamic, collaborative concept, which is cognitively, situationally, and socio-culturally much more refined, and a shift from the concept of unilateral, in which individual speaker and hearer are analyzed, and then from a unilateral to interactionally expanded concept of the bi, where the other is involved. Like more than speaker and hearer, other is also involved, and this is known as multilateral interact, and collectively it is known as computer-mediated communication, like communication which is functioned through computer. So these are the shifts in pragmatics. And from pragmatics to cyber pragmatics. Cyber pragmatics studies how senders and addresses engage in an act of sense-making in cyber media. Nowadays, we all know that what is our desire. We desire to be accepted, interpreted, and included through internet-mediated communication. And the purpose of basically cyber pragmatics is to make our receivers understand and elaborate our concept. So cyber pragmatics analyzes the communicative exchanges that takes place among the users of internet using different cyber media, where sender users predict that the receiver will understand their meanings, which they are communicating through various modes, not only words. You all know that cyber communication is very revolutionary in a way that it engages our audience through so many modalities like videos, emojis, emoticons, and there are so many other options, memes. So, but they both have the same purpose, speaker and hearer, that they must be appreciated, they must be accepted, and they must be included in their communication. So this is basically cyber pragmatics. So the special interest of this analysis is the role of intentions and the quality of interpretation when the internet-mediated interactions takes place along with the implementation of virtual politeness. Obviously, when we talk virtually, we need virtual politeness. So what is virtual politeness? How can we achieve this? We will discuss. So today, I would focus on politeness. What is politeness in pragmatics and what is politeness in cyber pragmatics? Before we move on, I want you to see this picture for take 2 or 3 minutes and just share what comes in your mind when you see this picture. And I hope that dialogues are clear over here. You can read. I would appreciate if you write in your chat box 2 or 3 comments that what can you perceive after seeing this picture. I just incorporated this picture of ratchet fawn because I assume that many of our new generation might not understand that what ratchet fawn looks like.
All right, audience, you have to see the picture, read it, and then tell what you can perceive from it, what is happening in the picture. And if you cannot see the picture clearly, then make sure your settings on your YouTube video quality are set to 720p or at least at 480p, so you can see the picture clearly and read the text. So please share in live chat what you think is happening in the picture.
Yes, any random guesses, anything which comes in your mind after looking at this picture. There's no any correct answer. There's no any perfect answer. Yes, anybody?
Ma'am, actually, there when we are live streaming, there is a delay of a few seconds when they receive our voice and when we
Okay.
see their comment. So we will wait for a minute to receive their comments, if there are any. All right. So as they are writing their comments, I will be like reading it out so they might understand. So in the first picture, it is written, "One thing I really miss is my old rotary dial phone. There was something very satisfying about the ratchet sound of the dial going around and around. You know what I mean?" The boy says, "Yeah, I miss that too." Then the boy says, "I don't know what she was talking about, but I didn't want to hurt her feelings."
Yes, Dora, thank you. Sympathy, yes.
And then there's the
Jenna, thank you. Considering the feelings of the grandma, it's kind of respect. Yes, very right. All of your answers are excellent. I'm thankful for your such type of responses. Very right. Very right, Joe. So I think we all understand. Yes, empathetic to others. Very right. Thank you, Santos. Pictures show a barrier in the conversation. Very right. Very right. Well, okay. So thank you so much for all your responses. And you all answered correct in a sense that there is a remarkable age difference. So this predict that there must be some information and intellect differences and gaps are also there. But the child basically saves the feeling of grandmother, as you all told. And this is the beauty for our society. Such type of action harmonize the society. Like we can communicate to each other, we can be rude, we can be impolite, we can be straightforward, but that is the another option where the feelings can be saved, where we can save others to be felt excluded, to be felt awkward. So that is the basically beauty of our environment, of our society, because we all are human beings, we all are living in a society where we want to be associated with each other, where we want to make links with each other. So people are involved now. We are involved in persistent social interaction involving all forms of communication. So in order to communicate, we obviously need a medium, which is language. We all know that language, like Hornby say that language is a system, language is a medium of communication with each other, through which we communicate and interact with each other. But the main purpose of communication must be like that it harmonizes the society, which is nowadays I am feeling that we are losing. We are not empathetic sometimes towards hearer. So there is a deep-rooted relation between society and language. I would say that language is society and society is a language. Like they are vice versa, they are interconnected with each other. So language performs various functions in the society. Why should we not focus on that function which can save our society, which can harmonize our society, which can spread peace, love, and understanding in our society? So language is basically as a tool of social interaction where people need to be aware on each other's reaction, faces, like we would further classify that what is face. So faces in order to consider the feelings or maintaining the healthy relationship with each other. And here comes the politeness. And here politeness played a very vital and significant role. How? Like politeness in pragmatics and politeness in linguistically. So politeness, generally we know that politeness is showing good manners to others, talk in a polite tone. We should not drop our food in front of others. We should behave wisely. That is a general meaning of politeness. But linguistically, politeness is the way people choose to speak and how the hearer react to their speech. So according to Henry Pratma, and my research is mostly based on his book, Henry Pratma, Linguistic Politeness in Online Communication. So like from next slide, I would be referring to him. So linguistic politeness refers to verbal politeness. We all know that the derivative of verbal politeness is written politeness, but politeness is used primarily for building trust instead of transferring ideas. See the difference? That here, politeness is just not serving the role of analyzing the words, the meanings. Rather, politeness is used primarily for building trust instead of transferring ideas. We transfer ideas, but there must be an aspect of trust, faith, harmony. So communication, and of course, we all know that communication is prone to conflicts. Conflicts would be there, sometimes healthy, sometimes important, sometimes mandatory to show our confliction towards other people, to show our disagreement. But politeness is needed as a fail-safe over there. And I would share a very interesting idea about, I borrowed from Dawkins' philosophy, that he said that human being is selfish individually, socially, and cellular level. So if he is selfish, it means he wants his priority must be served first. his needs must be served first. His ideas must be accepted. So we cannot say that there cannot be any conflict. Conflict must be there. But how to address conflict? So the tool of addressing conflict right way, the politeness is needed as a fail-safe. Politeness is a working social norm to be applied whenever necessary. And one thing, like politeness is cultural dependent. Of course, that politeness is cultural dependent. Like every country, every region has some fixed norms of politeness. For example, in my country, if you ask any girl about her marriage relationship, it is not much offended, like it is normal. But in Western culture, it is not considered a polite act to ask about marriage or other relationships publicly. So that is dependent on culture. So see, 1 minute. So sorry. Okay. So that is basically the linguistically politeness means here, that how can we incorporate our politeness when we need to conflict, when we need to show disagreement, and even at that time we can talk by using politeness, and that can be needed as a fail-safe. So as it is written over here, that politeness is used primarily for building trust. So when we communicate, we do not just exchange information. We exchange trust also. We transfer trust, faith. Because when we transfer ideas or information, if we have trust between each other, the message will be well sent and we will understand each other. Otherwise, the things will not work as proper as we want to. So transferring information and transferring trust basically occurs simultaneously. Like when we transfer information, we transfer trust at this time, because we want to develop a rapport with our partner, with our counterpart. So if we are exchanging information with our partner, and we are monitoring the language we use by our partner. So linguistic politeness basically is one way for a human to perform rapport management. Judging other human being, criticism, bad comments will not work. So for avoiding judgmental criticism, bad comments, bad compliments, we can take the help of politeness. So this is the reason for our society and in our school, in our colleges, I would suggest that there must be some incorporation of such type of lessons or chapters in our school life, so that students should know that what is politeness in the beginning. So we all need to communicate with politeness for maintaining the healthy and beautiful relationship in our society. Now, I would ask you to see this anecdote. This is basically an anecdote about a very famous Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, in 1979. During her successful general election campaign in 1979, Margaret Thatcher undertook various photo opportunities to emphasize how in touch she was with ordinary people. On one occasion, she was photographed standing on the back of a platform bus. As this was taking some time, she said, "I am beginning to feel like a clippy," and then observers recall, you see the realization in her eyes that she might have said something patronizing, so she added, "Who are all doing a wonderful job." So clippy is double-decker bus, and clippy, like platform bus is a double-decker bus which has an open entrance at the back. I think you all know about it. And clippy is a bus conductor who sells and clips tickets. So she said this. She covered her utterance. Like first she said that I am beginning to feel like a clippy, and then she said that. Then she added, "Who are all doing a wonderful job." So why did she do so? She was powerful at that time. She was her status was higher. Then why did she do so? Why she needed to add such type of covering, such type of, you can say, subtle utterance. Why? Because basically she wanted to develop the relationship with her people, because she was a political figure at that time. So she did not want her people to reject her, to dissuade her. So that's why she added. So why did she added? Because of she wanted to save herself, save her face. For this purpose, she wanted to balance the relationship with her and her people. So that's why politeness is needed. So Brown and Levinson coined this theory in 1978, and then they modified this theory in 1987. So according to Brown and Levinson, politeness, basically interlocutors use politeness as a particular strategies in order to achieve successful communication. These strategies enable to create maximally comfortable environment for communication, and they drew upon their theory drew upon Goffman's concept of face, which means that positive public image we seek to establish in social relation. We discussed in the last two slides that face. So here, face does not mean this part of our body. Face means our positive public image we seek to establish in social interactions. So how and why we are polite to others, as you have seen this anecdote, that why she needed that politeness to save her reputation, to save her face. So face is very important concept in politeness. And according to a linguistic guru, face is something belonging to society rather than to individual. Like we all have a face in society, and we all have to face that safe. Like people in general have to protect their face, that their public image must not be shattered. They must not be excluded. They want themselves to be accepted, loved, appreciated. So face basically is a positive identity, character, reputation, and image which has to be guarded all the time by the person. So it's a constant battle for a person to always have a good reputation in front of other people. Like a face can be saved by all time by using politeness. Like, when we ask something of our teacher, we are fearful that what happened if she rejects us, what happens she answers me in negative. So we are very careful. So basically we have two types of face: positive face and negative face. So we can say that the positive face is the need to be appreciated, loved, included. So this is a positive face. The desire to be independent and not to be imposed upon, this is negative face. Here comes the problem. Positive face is very easy to understand. We all maintain our positive face. We and our friends, we want to mingle with our friends with a positive face. But when we talk about negative face, do we mean by negative face that the face which is very rude or which is impolite? No. Here we mean that we should not restrict anybody's independence. For example, this is my real life situation example. When I upload results on LMS, at the same day I receive a plethora of email. Please pass me, please upgrade my marks, please give me 1 mark so that my GPA can be changed and I can pass my course. So this is, they talk in a very polite way. Please, I'm requesting you, please do that. But is this a real polite thing? I personally feel that this is also a type of harassment. When you infringe my independence, I do not want this thing. So if we talk to someone in an extra polite way, this is also an attack on his independence. Politeness means you must need some freedom, some space to me. You can ask me like that, like my students can ask me like that. Is it possible for you if I ask you for this? So there is like a way, an option. But if you say me directly that please, 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 please pass me and upgrade my results, so that is basically an attack on my independence. So this is a negative phase. So when someone or some person and something threatens our positive or negative phase, this we call it phase threatening act, FTA. Phase threatening act is basically again cultural dependent, is an accumulation of cultural and environmental and religious factors. And when we less the possible threat to maintain a good self-image, this is phase saving act. So saving face is the strongest motive of the world, told by Thompson. So we have two faces and we have to save our two face, not only our face, but the other face. How? Like, for example, there are three bubbles, like there are three suggestions, like how can you change your face threatening acts to face saving acts? Like, for example, don't impose, give options, make your hearer feel good. For example, there are, well, let's take the very first example. I would say my friend Rida is throwing a party, but told me she is not inviting. So what would my friend feel about that? She would feel excluded, isolated. She would feel bad, awkward. So I can change my utterance like that. Rida is throwing a party, but she can only have 20 guests, so she can't invite you. Now she can feel better. Like, no, there is no any personal problem. There is no any problem with my personality. There is some other technical issues or some other issues. Similarly, Mr. Ali said, Hira is a bit weird, isn't she? So Mr. Ali is not giving any option to be accepted or assimilated or included. He's directly said that Hira is a bit weird, isn't she? So it can be said like that. Actually, once you know her better, you would like her. Mr. Ahmed says, no, I think she is good. So you can say like that. I do not think your work is good enough. Direct, you are saying that I do not think your work is good enough. So it will spoil the reputation. It will deharmonize the beauty of our society, of our speaker, and he will feel very awkward. So we can say that, did you have difficulty in understanding the task? May I help you in any other way? So this is not imposition. This is like a freedom. So I bet you never go festival we go to, you wouldn't like it. So do you think you would enjoy these type of festivals? These are the utterances which can change our face-threatening acts to face-saving acts, and we can save our faces. And Robert and Levinson, like coin these politeness strategies. They are 4: bold on record, positive politeness, negative politeness, and off record. Bold on record is very direct. For example, if I ask you, like if I ask my hearer that help me out. So this is so direct. Like I'm not giving any option. I'm not asking. I'm not looking for his stability. I'm not looking for his position. I'm just shouting, help. Like there is no any other way out. So this is politeness, but this is bold on record. Positive politeness is when we like direct, like could I lend me your pen? So it means that he is bounded to give his pen. And negative politeness when we say that for means it's less direct but very polite, and could you please lend me your pen? I forgot my pen, so can you give me your pen? So that is a less direct politeness. And off record is the most polite strategy when you give the option. When you give the option to the writer, hints to the writer, hearer, for example, it is cold in here. So if you say that it is cold in here, you mean that you need something warm, but there is no any directness here. So there is a choice. You are not infringing his independence. You are giving him a freedom that he might give you or not. Contradictory, when we say bold on record, that help. There is no any other option to him. Sometimes, suppose that your friend calls you and say, please pick me up. Though he is saying please, but is this polite? Because maybe you are in some very important work, maybe you are you are resting, you are not in a mood, but you think that if I deny, he will be angry, he will be upset. Like in this case, speaker is infringing your independence. He is not giving you freedom of speech. So these are the politeness strategies coined by Brown and Levinson. But I would say that this is very elusive. Like we can alter it, we can modify it according to our culture and our other attributes. Now we have discussed the pragmatics politeness. Now we will focus on cyber politeness. What is cyber politeness? How can we maintain this politeness in computer-mediated interaction? So in cyber politeness, we can say that on the internet, the expression of politeness is often compulsory, which indicates the importance beyond face-to-face interaction. Typically, politeness on the net is known as netiquette and chetiquette. Here, politeness strategies can be chosen by the users, or they can be imposed by a moderator of the system used for online communication. So moving towards our second type of interaction, that is cyber interaction, we should know that how can we balance this politeness. In my society, personally, I feel that people are not careful when they write a compliment or comment. Recently in my society, a very famous celebrity passed away because he could not tolerate the harsh and backlash comments, and he attempted suicide. So why? Because we are losing our ethnicity, we are losing our cultural attributes. We are not careful because we think that on computer-mediated communication, we are all masquerading. We are hiding our identity. We can do whatever we want. So this is our now responsibility to incorporate politeness in cyber-mediated communication or internet communication. So first of all, we should know what are the differences between real life and cyber interaction. So why are people becoming so free to compliment and do any harsh comment, backlashes, negative comments, mockery? So what are the differences between real life and cyber interaction? Basically, first difference is cyber life or cyber communication has no any boundary. We can talk at any time, regardless any geospatial boundaries. We have not to go over there. We don't have to buy tickets. We can talk all the time. So this is the big difference. So that's why we sometimes feel so free to talk whole night, a whole day, because of there is no any economy involved in, there is no any cost involved in it. Secondly, this difference is lexical sets difference, which is now a new norm in communication. For example, TTYL, TBH, BRB, FYI, and you will be surprised to know that when because there's a generation gap between me and my students. So sometimes in the beginning, I was not able to understand these abbreviations, these terms. So sometimes I felt very excluded, and I thought that if I asked them, I would threaten my face. So that's why that is the difference. And slowly and gradually, I started to learn that because that is a new norm. Without knowing their communication, their language, I would not be able to teach my undergraduate students. So the third difference is cognitive delay. Cognitive delay means that some communications are asynchronous and some communications are synchronous. Like, so when we talk on face to face, we need some physical proximity, synchronity. But in internet, we can reply a message after 24 hours, after 12 hours, immediately. So in the time we take, we have the opportunity to think about the message, like how can we communicate, how can we talk. But sometimes there is an urgency, there is an emergency, so we can there is no any other option, so we have to reply immediately. Fourth difference is multimodality. Like, multimodality makes our communication diverse. For example, in face to face, you will just speak and you will just incorporate your facial expression, gestures, shoulders, eye contact. But in multimodality, you have a lot of options: pictures, videos, emojis, emoticons, memes, and whatnot. So these are also shaping the communication of cyber or internet mediated communication. Next is psychological aspects. We are living dual life in internet. So the people who are very angry and aggressive in real life, they might be very polite, very subtle on internet. So we maintaining these two type of identities, polar identities, can lead to some problematic aspects in our life. So we can face some psychological dilemma, some psychological trauma by maintaining these two types of people. I mostly see few people whom I think that they must be very polite, they must be very funny when I talk to them on computer or WhatsApp. But when I meet them, they are sometimes not the same as they communicate at their WhatsApp or Facebook, because they have to maintain, they have to save their face, they have to fake their lives. And similarly, social consequences are there. You all know that nowadays we are losing our physical relationships regarding friends, and we do not meet face to face, we do not know the problems and difficulties of our friends' lives. Rather, we are so busy, and if this happens, we will lose somehow the beauty of our relationships. So these are the differences between a real life and cyber. So there are so many of emails, of social media, and on some types of social media, a lot of things. You can see that majority of time is spent now on internet and computer or using or chat. Like people are living on internet. They are politicians, celebrants, sports commentators, motivators, coaches, fashion police. Like nowadays, they do not need any platform. They all have their own channels, their own ways to introduce themselves. So they are leading double life and more life on social media. So there are, as Qualman, this is the category done by Qualman, like there are two categories of users: preventative behavior and braggadocio behavior. Preventative behavior are the people who use internet very mindfully. Like when they need, they have their limitations, they have their privacy, they do not want to reveal their personal life and domestic life and official life, they do not want to elaborate and exaggerate their positions. But vice versa, there is a behavior which is known as braggadocio behavior. Like they are frequent users, they use all the time internet. But when they use internet, when they communicate through internet, they have some motives. Like there are further four classification, like altruism, hedonism, connectionism, and narcissism. Altruism is in a general sense, we see people who are altruists, they are concerned with the other people's happiness. They prefer the other people's happiness. So in social media, what do? Mostly? They they post some religious quotes, some motivational quotes, inspirational quotes, beautiful scenery, so that they want everybody to be happy. There must not be any conflict, there must not be any negativity. We all should be happy, and they would like this, and people would appreciate in return to them. Second is hedonism. Hedonism means like people want their pleasure all the time, their selves. So they upload their pictures, they upload their achievements, they upload their their laurels, whatever. So they want only pleasure. Connectionism, the people who want to connect throughout, like they have no any specific intention. They just want to know what is going around the world, who are the people on internet, who is the most famous celebrity nowadays. So they just want to connect with each other. And narcissism, so this is, you know, a psychological trait that when we prioritize ourselves a lot, like if I post my picture, everybody must like it, and I would look very beautiful, or everybody should give me a positive compliment. So this is narcissism, so this type of motive. But the reason of all the people are freedom of speech. Why are they doing it? Because internet provides a free platform of where you can free to write, free to comment, free to compliment. There is no any restriction, there is no any checking. So that's the freedom of speech. And sometimes it creates mental health problems. Why? Because of the fake identity, because of the need for good compliment, good likes, good emoticons. And if sometimes we do not get these type of compliments or comments or emojis or emoticons which we accept, mental health problems arise, which is somehow dangerous too. So as we talked in Pragmatics Politeness, that we have to save people's face. How can we save people's face? By giving them options, by giving them choices, by not asking them directly any request, or we should take care of the people whom negative face is not threatened. And I told you that negative face does not mean at all that negative perception, rudeness, or impolite behavior. Negative face means the freedom of the freedom of choice. Like if I do not want to help you, there must be a freedom without arising conflict. But in social media, what is politeness and what is impoliteness? So, see, dilemma when getting a compliment. There are two types of compliment. If a speaker who uploads a post or upload a picture or video gets positive comment, this is polite. This is strategy. But when a speaker receives impolite comments, harsh and unexpected compliments, so this would be a dilemma for the speaker. And he would be more reluctant because he knows that his compliment or his comment is being read by so many people. There are strangers too, and there are his people, the people whom he knows, or the speaker, the uploader knows. So this is a dilemma for hearer, for the speaker. Secondly, a varied set of choices. When we have a varied set of choices, that is sometimes good also, like they have or not, they have pictures, they have videos, they have audios, they have other documents to show. So for this varied set of choice, people might respond differently. So if they respond according to the expectation of the speaker, it would be a polite strategy. But if they do not do so, that would be an impoliteness. And especially here we can talk about gender also, like women sometimes feel more awkward than men, that if they're if they're compliments, if they receive some bad response or some bad reply. Tone of comments, obviously people's tones are not is only in a positive tone, they might talk in a negative tone. So often give harsh comments to other, getting non-constructive criticism, judgment and mockery are the part of social media nowadays, which people can make easily because of their anonymity sometimes. So this can also lead very rigorous consequences. Power influence like celebrity or any political figure, they know that when they upload their picture, they would not feel that way. Or people, for example, if a celebrity who is liked by everybody, so he will obviously feel good comments, and this is the game of power. So they can say anything and behave inappropriately as contract to real life. Emojis and emoticons. Emojis, if you are receiving good emojis, that is polite, and if you are not posting bad emojis, bad emoticons, so that is obviously impolite, and it will threat the face of a speaker or the person who uploaded the picture. Similarly, when we use expressions, ha ha ha, sometimes it is funny, but sometimes it may be like a sarcasm, harsh, or in a negative way. So that can cause also politeness or impoliteness. If comment is really serving in the way when there is a funny thing and there is something which is subtle, which is not very harsh, so it is polite. But if it is not funny and if it is used for sarcasm and irony, so that is impolite. Memes nowadays, we all know that this is a prevalent tradition of memes. So memes basically a serious thing behind humor. Sometimes the purpose of memes only is to serve laughter. But sometimes this creates a lot of problem, especially when there is a political or religious memes. Because a person is very sensitive about his political and religious matter, and it can create a lot of heated argument, conflict, and it would lead to very dangerous consequences. So we should, as a speaker, basically my target is my students most of the time. So I ask them to be very careful when you upload memes. It might not hurt somebody's feeling because this feeling is very sensitive. If you cannot sit inappropriately at your home, at some places, then why don't you take care of these things when you use internet? And similarly, showing disagreement, that when there are disagreements, you cannot agree to any idea of all the time, but you have to know the politeness strategies, the politeness factors when you show disagreements to the compliment. Because keep in your mind that everything is written on the wall. There is no any restriction. Everybody can see. If you ask me, if suppose that if I upload a video or any idea which you do not disagree, which you do not disagree, and you are writing very harsh comments, my other familiar friends, my other people would also know about me, and I would feel that this is a face-threatening act. So we have to be very careful. We have to bring harmony in also on social media, on computer internet mediated communication, by understanding the problems, the nuances of these things. When we are very free to use, we understand that there is anonymity. We understand that we are not being checked, we are not being identified, but still there we must take care of these things. And the topic is like when we say face, what is our self-image on social media? So again, there are people who are humble braggers. Humble bragging means like when you pretend that you are polite, but your purpose is to brag. You exaggerate your things, but you do it in a way that you do not, you pretend that, okay, this is so normal to me, this is so humble, I'm very courteous, but even you are exaggerating about your cars, your homes, and you are not hiding your exaggeration. So this thing leads to jealousy also. Social networking sites is considered as the most provoking medium for incorporating or for inflaming jealousy among people. So if you are doing humbly also, you are bragging. And humble bragging is more dangerous than straight bragging, because you are just pretending, you are fake at this time. And the second is faces social risk. You take social risk when you talk anything negative about society. So, you are spreading negativity, and this will manipulate the whole population. If you do not construct anything, do not spread negativity as well. So you are taking risk of your society. I have personally seen on my Facebook account that few people just criticize negatively on the existing situation. If they cannot do anything, but they just criticize and they spread negativity, which sometimes break my mind also, that what is happening in our country and what is the consequences of it. So we should it should be like a platform of spreading positivity, constructivism, not destructive ideas and thoughts. Similarly, ranting. Ranting means when you provoke something, you write intentionally a post which you think that people will come and people will fight on it, and you will just enjoy that. That means conflict or counter arguments. For example, nowadays there is a conflict between gender discrimination most of the time. So if you just write something in favor of any specific gender, and people will just come and rant their inflammation, their aggressive comments. So that is also a phase which you should not do that, and which you should. This is also a type of face threatening. Cloaking the image, it is very common that I just use 2 or 3 accounts. Nobody knows me, so that I can do anything without any fear, without any boundaries, because I know that nobody would identify me. So I can upload inappropriate things. I can upload destructive things. And when we use internet-mediated communication, we obviously have interconnection of 2 worlds, which is face-to-face and cyber world, and we think that both worlds are intuitive, but they are rather counterintuitive. So there are interconnectedness of 2 worlds. So I would suggest that you should think that 2 worlds must be used with the same politeness principles. Like when you cannot do anything at the face of the people, when you talk face to face, when you are in face to face communication, so you should also not do such type of thing in social mediated communication or internet mediated communication. You should be careful about this interconnectedness of 2 worlds. So that is also very important. So I will move towards conclusions, and that The significant changes in the context from traditional to virtual opens up new innovations in the field of communication. And now the future researchers must refocus the root of the study by incorporating the virtual context, which are rapidly changing, the societal behavior of interlocutors. And I have already discussed that what are the societal behaviors, like they are masquerading their face, they are faking their identities, they are humble bragging, they are taking their life at social risk. These are the societal behaviors. And to maintain the harmony and avoid the face-threatening acts, curriculum must be redesigned with the addition of the principles of politeness according to the specific context. You can see that now new ideas are being incorporated, new things are being innovated. For example, I think that now email would be replaced, because now WhatsApp has taken a positive position for professional and all types of communication, and the immediate response is there because this is a synchronous communication. So such type of changes are taking place, and we have to take care, we have to find, and we have to keep in consideration all these changes, dynamicity and flexibility in our researches of pragmatics. So this was all from my side. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, ma'am, for such an insightful and informative presentation. So now we will start with the Q&A session. And before starting the Q&A session, I would like to request the attendees of this session that you might write your questions in the notes or somewhere in your mobile and save them for later, because first we will be having some questions from the registration forms. After getting their answers, we will come to live Q&A session and we will take your questions from the live chat. So now let's begin with our first question from registration form. It's from Khizar Ali. He asked that, may I ask you to please share how recent politeness versions other than Paul can be adapted in our research?
Okay, very right. These are recent politeness versions other than Paul Grice. Paul Grice maxims are very significant in understanding the pragmatic, polite, and face-to-face interaction. But for my research, I adopted Leach maxims, that is tact maxim, approbation maxim, so which addresses my cyber mediated communication. So I prefer, there is no any preference here, but I utilize most of the time, because I am doing research on e-politeness, where my students write emails for me to upgrade their marks and increase their CGPA. So for this, I adopted Leach maxim, which is very relevant in cyber mediated communication. And you can find easily this maxim in Francisco Yu's book. In Francisco Yu's book, there is a complete elaboration of this maxims with examples. So that would be very helpful for you.
All right, thank you for the answer. I hope Khizar Ali got his question answered. So now the second question is from Mary. She asks, what are recent trends in teaching pragmatics? Or some people also asked, how can we teach pragmatics to our students so they understand it better?
Yes. See, this is also under my consideration, and I am just taking researches and reading it. That how can we incorporate pragmatics in our primary level and tertiary, primary and secondary level students? Because the thing which is important here, that we should incorporate some pragmatic strategies in their syllabus, in students' syllabus, so that they can learn pragmatics. So recent trends is now like cyber mediated communication and maxims of Leach. These are the recent trends in pragmatics, which addresses our all communication aspects like emails, social media and chatting applications. So we have to focus on these new recent maxims, and many researchers have already been done. And Handy Pratma also discussed these type of recent strategies, like how to analyze and evaluate cyber mediated communication, complexity of cyber politeness, when we have so many media working simultaneously in our students' life, in our students' communication. So we have to borrow that complex model of communication, of cyber communication, which was presented in the book of Francisco Yu. So you can just take those trends, and still, I told you that pragmatics is so open that still many new strategies can be added and will be added recently because of the diversification in our students' communication. So these will be served as a recent trend in teaching pragmatics. But basically, I teach pragmatics on the basis of Searle and Leach and Brown and Levinson, because the Brown Levinson's theories was criticized a lot because of cultural diversification, but still this is the most profound theory, which talks about phase, negative phase, and positive phase, and negative politeness and positive politeness. So the communication can be of any type. The foundation of and theoretical background would be the same most of the time.
All right, very well answered. So thank you, ma'am, for answering those questions. Now we will be moving towards the questions from live chat. So if anyone has some questions related to the topic, they might comment it in the live chat, and ma'am will try to answer it. So now we have our first question from live chat. That is from Salman Sumro. What is the difference between presupposition and entailment?
Presupposition is basically like when you talk about the supposed communication, the supposed conversation. And right now, I think I'm something forgetting. I'm sorry, but at this time I won't be able to give you the complete example of presupposition. And it's like implicature, and it's again it's a root of Anglo-American component view of pragmatics. So my work is mostly perspective view of pragmatics of continental European. So that you can take this from Anglo-American pragmatics, from Leach, Searle, and Yule theory of presupposition and entailment. So I'm sorry, at this time I'm not able to exemplify this.
It's all right, ma'am. So we
Yes.
have another question. Is polite communication ineffective if there is no feedback?
No, it is not. We cannot say that this is ineffective if there is no feedback, because all of the time we are not able to incorporate our utterances with the feedback. Okay, so we cannot say that this polite communication is ineffective, because when there is no feedback, you also have to be careful about the strategies of politeness and your face saving threats, face saving acts, and you have to avoid face threatening act, whether there is a feedback or not. So this is very clear that polite communication is even effective when there is no any feedback from the hearer.
All right, thank you very much. And there is another question from Farman Ali. Does the environment or circumstances affect our thinking, behavior, and consciousness? For example, if someone lives in a hot area, he fights over little things.
See, very relevant question. Language is just not a transfer of information. Language is an action. Language is a doer of things. So obviously, when we uh, live in some different circumstances, it affects our thinking, behavior, and consciousness. As I told you that there are some social consequences over there when we were discussing about the face of people on social media. So similarly, there might be so many context. This is basically a context. you are talking about the hot weather and hot area, this is basically a context, and context definitely affects your thinking pattern and behavior and consciousness. This is a very common practice, that if we are relaxed, if we are like satisfied, we think in a proper way, we think in a positive way, and there are so many production can be achieved in that way. But if some weather, some financial, some economical barriers are there, it definitely infringe our thinking, behavior, and consciousness. So this is basically a context. In pragmatics, this is so effective, and it cannot be ignored.
Right, thank you very much for answering that. So we will move on to the next question. So the question is, what is the best theory to be used in conducting politeness strategy in intercultural context?
See, politeness is always associated with intercultural context. So there are so many theories, but here the question arises that which type of, which specific part you want to elaborate. For example, if you want to speech, if you want to analyze a speech act, so Searle theory would be very effective. If you want to politeness maximum, so Bryce theory would be very effective. If you want to talk about cybernet or internet mediated communication, Leach theory is very effective. So pragmatics is all about intercultural communication and intercultural context. So there are numerous and various theories. So then it would like determine that which type of communication or which type of context you want to address. So the theory will be diversified according to the need of your intercultural context. There's various theories: Austin, Searles, Leach, Price.
All right, thank you very much. So now we will take a few more questions and then we will come to end the webinar. All right. So another question is, does pragmatic competence fall within communicative competence?
If you say fall within communicative competence, I would say that there is no any demarcation. Like communicative competence is important. As I told you in the beginning, that it is the cumulative product of linguistics and non-linguistics behavior. So we cannot ignore us of like a strategy of communicative competence. Obviously, if you understand the communicative competence properly, then you will able to understand or interpret pragmatic competence. They are interlinked with each other. They are not like they are inseparable. Communicative competence is equally important, and then pragmatic competence. Pragmatic competence is, you can say, is somehow different only because of the incorporation of various contextual background. Otherwise, there is no any demarcation. Like we cannot say that fall within communicative competence. So they are simultaneously work for understanding communication or any specific communication. For example, if you are analyzing the medical discourse, you need first to understand the communicative competence of the speakers, and then you will go towards pragmatic competence.
All right, now we have a very interesting question. That is, can we conclude that a speaker is polite if he talks in low and humble voice but uses aggressive words?
No, not at all. See, politeness does not mean that you are talking in a polite way or in a humble way. Suppose that if I am saying very politely that your work is so bad, so is this polite? Politeness does not mean, does not have any association with the tone. Politeness means the politeness strategies when you try to work on saving the other's face, when you do not want others to be excluded, to be left out, to feel awkward. So that is politeness. What else? So if you are talking very aggressively and you are talking with polite, how can it be polite? This is the exploitation of politeness strategies. And this is a very interesting question. I have seen many people and many students in my life, when they communicate in a very soft and polite and humble way, but their utterances are very impolite. So there is no connection between softness and politeness with politeness, linguistically politeness. It might be generally considered a polite, but linguistically, which I represented today, that is not any connection with the slow, beautiful tone, humble tone with the politeness. If your utterances are not following the politeness strategies, the politeness theory, if you are threatening the other's face, you are not polite. No matter how humble, how polite are you talking.
All right. The questions were answered very appropriately, and thank you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation and for giving your presentation. Yes,
Thank
and thank you for answering all the questions. I would also like to thank the audience for being active throughout the webinar and contributing to the session. And uh, we hope that, ma'am, we will have another session with you for another time.
you.
And
Sure.
thank you very much for sharing your knowledge with us. Ma'am, would you like to say some, like convey some message to the audience for their academic life or some
Yes.
advice for them?
Yes. First of all, I am very thankful, Mr. West for having me for this. That is a very good opportunity for me. I really enjoyed. And I would thank my audience that they participated when I asked them to write in the chat box. That is also very appreciative. And secondly, I would suggest that if you come to know any other strategies or any other innovations in politeness, please do share with me. And here I'm also a student, I'm also a scholar, I'm doing researches. So I need some innovative ideas. I am very interested in pragmatics. And second, I would just request my audience that wherever how much we should do for saving the other people face, because that is the requirement of today's communication. We are losing our like norms. I do not know what is happening with my people, with my children, that they do not understand that the hearer's face can be threatened. So we should try our best to save the people's face in any situation. That is my request. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Okay, so viewers, thank you very much for joining. And now I will be sharing a feedback form link with you in the live chat. If you cannot see the live chat, then make sure you are joining this session directly from the YouTube app if you are on your mobile device. If you are on your laptop, then make sure you open the youtube.com and then watch the webinar to find the live chat for the feedback form. So now I will be sharing the link of the feedback form in the live chat in a few minutes. Okay, so now I have shared the feedback form link in the comment, and the feedback form link I have sent in the comment, and you have to fill the feedback form. It is very necessary because without it, you will not be able to receive your certificate of participation. So please fill the feedback form as soon as possible, because once the live webinar ends, the link will disappear. Let me mention again that I have sent the feedback form link in the live chat. You have to click on it and fill the form. Without filling the form, you will not receive your participation certificate. I have got 9 responses so far on the feedback form. So that means that feedback form link is working. If you face any problem, then email us. If you cannot find the live chat, then you can email us that you could not find the feedback form link or you could not find the live chat, and I will just mention our email address on the screen. So if you cannot find the feedback form link from the live chat, email us at linguistics and pedagogy webinars at gmail.com. And if you can see the link, then go to it and fill it in order to receive your well earned certificate. And I would like to thank all the attendees or the audience for joining this session. It was uh, it was really a good session because of you guys. You guys participated. That's how it works. So thank you very much again to all the participants for joining and remaining with us. And we hope to see you in the next webinars we will conduct in August. Now we have got 40 responses so far. Still 52 people are watching live. So make sure you fill that form correctly. All the information, the name which you will give on the feedback form will be directly added to your certificate. So make sure you use the right capitalization and right spellings and all. So I have sent the feedback form link in the live chat. If you cannot find the live chat due to some problem or some issue, then you can email us at linguistics and pedagogy webinars at gmail.com. Then we will send you the feedback form link over there. And make sure you like our Facebook page. It's also named as Linguistics and Pedagogy Webinars because we post updates over there. Yes, Mary Grace, the feedback form link is given in the live chat. If you cannot find the live chat, then email us at linguistics and pedagogy webinars at gmail.com and we will send you a feedback form link over there. Filled mine already. Okay, thank you very much, Ferguson. And one thing more I would like to mention is that you will receive your certificates depending upon how much certificates we have to send. So if the number of certificates is high, then it might take 2 to 3 days for sending the certificates. And if it's not that much, then it might take just 1 day. So we will update about when you will be receiving your certificates on our Facebook page. And about the slides. So the slides we will ask permission from ma'am Kishwer. If she allows it, we will share the slides on our Facebook page, also on our Facebook group. We have also a WhatsApp group. If you would like to join it, you can find the link of joining the WhatsApp group on our page. So thank you very much again for joining. Noor Ali said it's an amazing session. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Aliason says, I have failed, brother. Thank you very much. You will receive your certificate within a week. And Hernandez, thank you so much. Thank you very much for joining. Mariam says, thanks a lot for organizing such a useful webinar. Thank you very much, Mariam. Thank you for joining. Roger says, thank you so much. Send me the link of the certificate and so this is the feedback form link. It is given in the comments. You can click on it The feedback form link is given in the live chat. Sheila, just where you commented this, you will also find the feedback form link over there. It's just a link like forms.gle and the code, and it is given in the live chat by Linguistics and Pedagogy Webinars. All right. Thank you very much, Brenda, for joining. This is humble request. I'm looking for guidance regarding activity-based learning. We will try to arrange a webinar on it if possible, or we will like find some material related to it soon. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Eid, for joining. I repeat again that I have sent the feedback form link in live chat. Uh, Click on that link and fill the form in order to receive the certificate. If you cannot find the live chat, then just email us at linguistics and pedagogy webinars at gmail.com that you could not find the live chat. So we will send you feedback form link over here. For the PPTs, we will ask the resource person, Ma'am Kishwer, if she allows to share the PPTs, then we will share it on our Facebook page. You will find it there. And yes, that's what we will do. Okay, thank you for joining. Great webinar. I learned a lot. More webinars to come. Thank you, Maria, for joining. Hope to see you in future webinars as well. Done with evaluation. Thank you, Sam, and congratulations for successful webinar. Thank you for joining. And we will
connected with each other. So language performs very.
thank you very much, Dr. Eid, for joining. Again, thank you for joining and contributing to the webinar. Okay, thank you very much. You will receive your certificates within a week. Thank you very much for joining. So now we have got 99 responses on the feedback form so far. So now once again I will repeat the process for the people who might have not understood. So what you will have to do first, you will have to find the live chat on YouTube for this video. If you cannot find the live chat, then please make sure that you are logged into your Gmail account and you are watching the webinar directly from youtube.com if you are using the Chrome, Google Chrome, and if you are using your mobile app, and then make sure you are direct. If you are using your mobile, then make sure you are watching this webinar through YouTube application. Okay, not through Gmail. Sometimes it happens that when you receive a joining link in Gmail, you click on the video and you start watching the video on Gmail. All right, and little window pops up over Gmail, so you do not have to watch over there. Make sure you open the YouTube and then watch the video over there. You will find the live chat. Once you have found the live chat, then you can click on the link which I am providing in the live chat. Uh, and It's a link. Let me show you on the screen. The link looks like this, and when you open the live chat, you will find this link and you can click on it. Then a form will appear to you. In the form, you have to write your name and other details. So make sure that you use your right spelling of the name, because that name will be directly copied from your form to the certificate. So make sure there is no error in that, and that's all you have to do. Then you can close this video and you can go on to doing other works if you like. So that's all about it. Thank you very much for joining. Okay, Asma, thank you for filling the feedback form. If you are done with filling the feedback form and if you think that your name is written correctly and all the details, then you can now leave this session if you want to, because there is nothing more going over here now. Okay, so thank you very much for joining. Hope to see you in next webinar as well. Thank you very much for joining the sessions. I hope it benefits you in future as well. Alright, so now we have received 101 responses so far on our feedback form, and still 30 people are watching live. So if you have filled the feedback form, you can leave the video of this session. And if you have not filled the feedback form yet and you cannot find the live chat, then you can just email us at Linguistics and Pedagogy Webinars at send us feedback form link, and we will email that to you. Alright. So now in 20 seconds, I will be ending this session, and thank you again, everyone, for joining and being active throughout the webinar. It was great to have you all on this webinar, and hope to see you in next webinars as well. Thank you very much.